When Pokemon Black and White 1 came out, it was a really big deal because it was a completely new game with a completely new design, completely new map, and everything. However, when Black and White 2 came out, I ran a few experiments through the game and compared it to Black and White 1, and I found similar and mostly similar features in both games. Not to mention that both games have the same map and pretty much the exact same storyline, with just a few changes here and there. A skilled programmer can probably take the ROM of Pokemon Black and White 1 and, make it exactly like Pokemon Black and White 2, and that's pretty much what Nintendo did. They just used the already created Pokemon Black and White ROMs, well, not ROMs, but the games, and they created Pokemon Black and White 2, but of course I could be wrong because, well, there could be flaws in what I, found out. I know for sure there's some stuff. The first thing is, Ken Sugimori, one of the big Game Freak people, did not work on Black and White 2, but he did on Black and White 1. He works on the big games, and which Black and White was, Pokemon Heart Gold was, and Pokemon Black and White 2 was just a simple game they created. Usually Ken Sugimori works on every single Pokemon game, but if he didn't on Pokemon Black and White 2, then obviously it means that he's been working on something else, a secret project, and he used Pokemon Black and White 2 to stall until his project can be released. And the DS now is pretty much an old console when you compare it, because the 3DS and the 3DS XL came out, so the new project could be a Pokemon game for the 3DS, and if that is the case, then it means that he has to create not him, but everyone part of Pokemon has to create the game from scratch, or from pretty much nothing. So it is going to be a big project. But for the past few years, they had this pattern where they would create a game, I think, every other year. So Black and White came out 2 years ago in Japan, and 2 years later, today, we have Black and White 2. And Black and White 2 might have taken a while to make, but it wasn't that big. But they needed something to stall, because making a game from scratch, 2 years is not enough, because they have to edit it. First they have to create it, then they have to edit it, revise it, get people to test it, get people to try beating the game 100% to make sure there's no glitches, because glitches are fine as long as they don't do anything stupid like the Missigno glitch, which can, wreck your entire game. So pretty much they use Black and White 2 to just stall. And they even added in those gym leaders to keep the customers satisfied and keep them company until they finish their big project. The key idea is that Ken Sugimori was obviously working on something new, a bigger project. This may be part of the Pokemon Black and White storyline, like my assumption, the past of Unova, or this can be the Hoenn remakes. I don't think anyone cares about the assumption I made, but I pretty much made an assumption that the Relic Crown doesn't have too much use in the game, and they'd probably make the third game based off of that 3,000 years ago, how Unova was, and pretty much it's going to be you being one of the twin brothers as part of Zekrom and Reshiram's storyline, and you lead up to the events where you see Zeragon, and of course, like the history, they're going to split into two, Zekrom for your brother and Reshiram for you, and maybe the version differences can, split it apart, so you get Zekrom, something like that. It's a pretty whack idea, but, if it actually does happen, that'd be pretty cool, because you can't normally predict future games and storylines. But, that's not the point of the video. I'm not going to discuss my ideas. Pretty much, if you closely regard the fact that they did not make Yellow Remake, they made Fire and Leaf Green, they didn't make a Crystal Remake, they created Heart Gold and Soul Silver, then it's safe to say that they'd probably make Ruby and Sapphire remakes and not Emerald remakes. And now that there's countless amount of games added to the Nintendo 3DS system, it's assumable that the new games will actually be for the 3DS. And like I mentioned before, if he's going to take a long time, it probably is going to be for the 3DS because it is a big job. And you're going to need 2 angles for the 3D. And this is sort of also like a marketing technique because it would make Pokemon fans who don't have a 3DS because they didn't like the titles, because there aren't many Pokemon, actually there's no Pokemon games that are released for the 3DS, and I don't think Pokédex 3D is a game, so most Pokemon fans didn't pick up a 3DS, but if they do because they're interested in other Nintendo games, then they will of course pick this game up. But if people don't have a 3DS, then they would be interested in how the 3D will look, and they want to play this game. There's no other way. There's no 3DS emulator, so Nintendo's safe, and they'd pick up their own copy. So yeah, that pretty much concludes the updates and stuff that I found out. It's a really big hint. In fact, it's kind of obvious. Using this one piece of information, it's kind of obvious how there's going to be a major Pokemon game coming out. And yeah, that concludes the video. And in the background during the entire video, I've had a 3D clip of pretty much how I think the next way when a Pokemon fly should be like this, where pretty much you zoom out and you can fly anywhere you want. You can zoom out even more if you want to fly to distant places. And there's specific spots you cannot land on, like the water or unreachable places. And being on the 3DS, this will create an awesome effect. And this was just something quick I did, so don't penalize me for that. But what? Nobody even probably watched till the end. If you watched till the end, type in Tyranitar in the comments.